How y'all feeling today? Awesome. I'm Kimberly Springle, the Executive Director here at the Charles Sumner School Museum and Archives. And it gives me great pleasure and honor to welcome you all to this space, the historic Charles Sumner School Museum and Archives. Many of you in the room may know about this building, but for those of you who do not, this is hallowed ground, as I like to say. It's very sacred and very significant in the history of the city of Washington, D.C. It's one of the first public elementary schools built for African American children in Washington, D.C., 1872. And as many of you know, this beautiful structure was designed for African American children only 10 years after slavery was abolished in the city. So that is what makes my jaw drop when I walk here every day. But given that history, there's a lot of historic things that happened here, including Frederick Douglass was here for the dedication in 1872, and later served as the commencement address speaker for the first high school graduation of African American graduates in the nation of the then preparatory school of colored youth, which predates Dunbar High School, Armstrong High School, and Cardozo. It's the foundation of Black secondary education in the city. So that's why he's here with us this evening and always. And also he was a friend of Senator Charles Sumner. So just a little bit about that origin history. What we are today is the official museum and archives for DC Public Education. How many DCPS alumni are in the room by a show of hands or applause? Yes. So today what we do is we celebrate, we honor, we preserve the history of public education, the legacy of public schools, faculty, alumni, teachers, everyone that makes up the system, and many of the wonderful honorees this evening I know are also DC Public School alums. So I'm very pleased to have you in this space to honor local history, to honor the history of Kingsman Park, which is the home of several of our schools, which we also have documented here as well and hope to document further. And just want to invite you all to continue to be engaged with the mission of the Charles Sumner School Museum and Archives. And actually, my Kingsman Park Association, Fraser Walton, is actually on our board of Friends of Sumner, but I met him when he started trying to pull together these documents to preserve these historic sites on the hill, the schools on the hill, and also just within the neighborhood. So again, welcome to you all. Thank you for being here. I want to see you all again. We also have a sign-in list downstairs to be engaged with our listserv and public events. We have open houses every month, once a month, celebrating the history and legacy of public education. We also have a lecture series every summer, beginning in June, that celebrates those who come and do research here and send it out in the masses in honor of the founding director and first archivist. So again, just stay connected with us. You can find us on social media if you're on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, and also we have a website. So again, it gives me great pleasure and honor to see you all. Welcome and enjoy the program. Thank you. Thank you.
Good evening. Good evening. To our guests, attendees, honorees, and especially to our hosts of the summer school. My name is Fraser Walton, and I'm president of the Kingsman Park Civic Association. And I sort of have a hard act to follow with Kimberly, but I'm going to read what I have to say. Kingsman Park is the neighborhood located near RFK Stadium. It borders Bennings Road Northeast, and most of you are probably familiar with that area. We're gathered today to celebrate one of the most important chapters in American history. This is the period in history when the nation, through divine intervention, received deliverance from segregation. This chapter also includes the establishment of Kingsman Park and the dramatic and direct impact that the community had on the subsequent desegregation of the nation's schools. Specifically, on May 17, 2019, that was yesterday, the 1954 U.S. Supreme Court decision in Brown versus the Board of Education turned 60 public schools of the District of Columbia. Unlike the Brown versus Topeka decision, Brown only applied to the states. It did not apply to the District of Columbia. But more importantly, the Bolton v. Sharp decision also integrated all of the territories held by the United States of America, including Guam, the Mariana Islands, the U.S. Virgin Islands, and all of the organized, what they call organized, and formally established islands of the United States. So that's a little known fact. Brown did not do that. It was Bowling v. Sharp. We're still trying for home rule or at least representation. So it's my suggestion that they use Bowling v. Sharp to argue that, because it's a direct derivative of that case. When we look at the past in light of the future, it is clear to see that Kingman Park has produced some of the most distinguished American citizens the country has had to offer. The Kingman Park Historic District also includes a number of local and national register sites, including the Langston Terrace dwellings, the Langston Golf Course, and the Brown, Spingarn, Young, and Phelps educational campus. Each of those institutions are on both the local and national register of the United States. No other neighborhood in Washington, D.C. carries that distinction. On May the 23rd, 2018, 1 year ago, Kingman Park became the first District of Columbia officially designated neighborhood district that is based on its heritage as an African American community. We have organized this deal today to celebrate and recognize some of the many residents, students, and visitors to Kingman Park who have made great contributions to the District of Columbia and to the nation. Noteworthy is the fact that Kingman Park began in 1928 during a period of intense segregation and has had a long history of struggle, endurance, and success, led only by the spiritual faith of the community. We wish to congratulate each and every one of you, and we hope that you enjoy the evening that we're about to embark on. Thank you very much.
Good evening, and again, welcome. My name is Joe Evers. If you would, as your hearts allow, please bow your heads as we go to the Creator of all of us, a word of prayer. Our Father above, we thank thee this day for life, for limb, for health and strength. We ask now that you bless this food which we are about to consume. Bless also the hands which have prepared it. But likewise, Father, we ask that you bless the occasion of history, of heritage, culture, friendship, and family that we celebrate today. These and all things we ask them expectantly. Amen. Amen. Amen again. Thank you. We will now have a singing of the Negro National Anthem. You'll find that printed in the back of your program. Please stand if you're able to do so.
Okay, in the back of your booklet are the words for Lift Every Voice and Sing. And I've heard people tell me that they could not get out of school and sing every day, all three verses. So all three verses.
We have come over a way that the tears have been watered. We have come treading our path through the blood of the out of the gloomy rest, still glory stand and bless. Where the white meat of the star is best. Table number one, move to table number two. Want to take table number three, you can begin by going to the back and getting your bill. That's table number three. Table number three. We will now recognize our honorees. Just about in 1 minute. Thank you. Joe Edwards to introduce our first honoree. Thank you.
Hopefully everyone has enjoyed a wonderful meal. If you haven't finished, just continue to enjoy it, and we'll proceed with the program. One of our very distinguished guests this evening is none other than Admiral, U.S. Navy retired, Cecil D. Hayne, a native Washingtonian. Former resident of the greater Lincoln Park, greater Kingman Park community, and I say with great pride, a 1974 graduate of Eastern High School. While he was at Eastern, he was an absolute whiz in math and science, and that would pay out later in life. He also played the sax and clarinet in the band. Admiral Hayne subsequently attended the United States Naval Academy in Annapolis, graduating with a bachelor's degree in ocean engineering in 1978. We've talked about that. I graduated from the Private School, West Point, in 72, but we're still good friends. He then embarked on a long and successful career as a naval officer, extending over 40 years. He held numerous progressively important and challenging command, staff, academic, and special assignments, both on the high seas and on shore, 2002 to 2004, and as commander of Submarine Group 2 from 2006 to 2008, and eventually as deputy commander of the U.S. Strategic Command at Offutt Air Force Base in Omaha, Nebraska. He also served in various high-level Department of Defense and Department of Navy staff and special assignments, both in the Pentagon and elsewhere. At the century mark of our submarine service, he was only one of 7 African-American qualified sub-commanders. They are referred to throughout the submarine service as the group of C7. During his career and following, and many of them were very, very accomplished, they continued to mentor and develop younger officers. In addition, this gentleman has been a lifetime learner. In addition to his degree from the Naval Academy, his bachelor's, he's earned 2 master's degrees. One in engineering, acoustics, and systems technology from the Naval Postgraduate School, and another master's in security strategy from the National Defense University. His late parents, Jesse and Ella, always stressed education. I'm sure both will be justly proud. Moreover, Admiral Haney has served and received numerous awards. I will not name them all, they're listed in your program, but I will mention just a couple. He received the Distinguished Service Medal, the Defense Superior Service Medal, 2 awards, the Legion of Merit, 4 awards. He received a very special award in 1998. It's called the Vice Admiral James Bond Stockdale Leadership Award. This award is only given to 2 commanding officers of naval vessels each year. So it's extremely tough competition. One on the East Coast, one on the West Coast, and he earned this award. Following his retirement from a long and distinguished service in the active Navy, Admiral Haney has continued to support the defense community and the nation, serving as board member on several key boards. Again, these are listed in the program in detail, but I'll share a couple of them with you. One of which is serving on the National Academy of Science Naval Studies Board, and another is serving as a committee leader on the Center of New American Studies Board of Directors. Admiral Haney has 3 adult children, Elizabeth, Thomas, and Joseph. And he has 3 grandchildren, keep him very busy. His hobbies include traveling, biking, and generally staying fit. It is with great pleasure that I present to some and introduce to others. Again, the first of our very distinguished guests, Admiral Cecil E. Haney. Welcome, sir. I salute you. The Admiral has been gracious enough in acknowledging to also share a few brief comments with us. Again, let's give him a warm round of applause.
And boy, I'm a bit overwhelmed, not just with the award piece, but just the history of this place and me not knowing about it. I like history, and it's probably another hobby. And just walking around seeing this museum, I know I need to come back and spend a lot more time looking at it. It's pretty neat what this organization has done in terms of keeping the legacy alive. And I think it's so important going forward. You mentioned my parents, and I have my 2 siblings. I was bookended by 2 sisters. Dr. Yvonne Coates, who taught at DC Public Schools after she graduated from Easton High School. And Yvette Morris, who worked at DIA, Defense Intelligence Agency, and now runs her own fitness business. Our parents really instilled pass, even though they didn't graduate from college, their education was we would. And quite frankly, we're blessed from that in so many ways. I was particularly blessed because I followed my older sister through school, and every time I went to a grade, they would say, "Are you going to be like your sister?" The game was on, you know, you couldn't slack off in terms of academics, given her record achievement in that regard. So that was a good thing for me personally in order to stay the course. Like anyone, you're always shored up by just so many remarkable people. Your family, in particular, the background you grew up in. And that's where I think saluting Kingsman Park area here is just so important. I used to tell various places I go, I said, yeah, I'm a product of DC Public Schools. Because I think it's important to advertise that piece going forward. So many things I could discuss in terms of just the remarkable journey that I was able to have. One with family, having the 3 kids, my late wife, Bonnie, who really grounded us all in terms of the duty station, the duty station, the duty station all over the country. And quite frankly, as I look at this award, I sort of salute her in terms of hearing me out as I'd come home late at night, or not at all, while you were out in deployments and what have you, and she was keeping the home front going. But also just so many other sailors, remarkable sailors, soldiers, airmen, and Marines I've got to work with throughout a variety of different assignments. So when you look at anyone who rises up to a leadership level, they're supported by some remarkable people. And it's, you know, the one piece that sometimes we get a lot of applause and what have you, but it's those folks that I like to say I represent. The junior-most folks in the business, all the way up, and very important in that regard. And then when you look at the history of this place, and I look back at my opportunities, and I just think of the involvement of so many different folks to make it available, so I would have an opportunity, not just to get those degrees, but to command at a level that would allow me to have the opportunity to sit down with President Obama, who selected me for my last assignment before I retired. So just blessed in so many ways in that regard. And the message I have is as we go forward, and I think about how I didn't know what a Naval Academy was until somebody stopped and talked to me about it. It's just so important that we reach out to many and talk to them about opportunities in the field you're in or the field that you're not in. But to stop and listen to them and what they're excited about so that we can hone them in to the right place so they can do good things. Not just good things. We have a lot of serious problems that our world requires some intellect capability in that regard. And I was a poor reader, you know, growing up in grade school. But my dad used to make me read the Washington Post and a certain section called Crime and Justice. And I felt he got a twofer out of that. Number one, I had to read and stand there while he was having his lunch, and I got a little better at it. But I also got to think about, you know, what happens if you go the wrong way in terms of that crime and justice section. Because it would talk about what criminal X, Y, or Z and what would happen there. So I thought that was a remarkable piece. Tactics, techniques, and procedures, as we like to say in the military, that was executed on a knucklehead like me in order to go forward. Mentioned the Centennial 7, and I brought in this hard to see poster there, but 7 of us, African Americans, I got together earlier this week for lunch. We still get together with 4 of us in order to look at how do we further work diversity in our military, but particularly in the submarine force, which I was a part of going forward, because they're all submariners. And it's just a privilege to be with that group. And then the last piece I thought I would share with you from a military standpoint is I've also had the pleasure to know and serve with or be mentored by 3 other African Americans that rose to the rank of 4 stars that were from the Washington, D.C. area. And guys like Paul Reason, who's my senior for many years, still lives here in the district. Lester Lyles, Air Force, still active in so many different ways, although he has retired. Larry Spencer, who he and I were on the roster, active duty roster at the same time. But clearly not enough. You know, when I look at our military, we still have a long ways to go in terms of diversity going forward. And clearly, I continue to be active in that regard. And I encourage others to do the same, whether it's my profession or others, that we can't do enough for our young folks in terms of helping them understand the value of getting an education, just as my parents pushed me, and the value, as my mother would always say, do all you can while you can. Thank you.
At this time, Joe and I, would like to present this award to Admiral Hinkle. But before we present it, I'd like to say that most of you probably have seen the movie Red October with Denzel Washington. Well, this happened in a real submarine moment. So at this time, we'd like to present our Kingman Park Historic District Award to Admiral Cecil D. Hayden. We also, yes. And we also have an additional gift for the Admiral, and it's just a little token there of our appreciation. Thank you, Admiral.
Continuing the program, again, we have a number of distinguished persons in the orders and a number of honorees. Mr. Fraser Walton, Esquire, is going to present awards. Several other people who are coming up. I think the next award on the list is Spottwood Thomas Bowling Jr. He was with us between 1939 and 1990, God rest his soul. This award is going to be accepted by Mr. and Mrs. D. Bowling.
Thank you again. On behalf of the Kingman Park Historic District and the Kingman Park Civic Association and the entire nation, we are pleased to introduce the next honoree, as Joe Evans has indicated, Spotswood Thomas Olding Jr., deceased. As a 12-year-old boy, Mr. Bowling became the lead plaintiff in the 1954 landmark decision rendered by the United States Supreme Court in Bowling versus Sharp. The court decision in Bowling was the companion case to Brown versus the Board of Education. In 1950, Spotswood's mother, Sarah F. Bowling, attempted to enroll Spotswood in Sousa Junior High School. The Bowling decision not only resulted in the desegregation of District of Columbia schools, but in all, as I mentioned before, territories of the United States. Mr. Bowling will be forever remembered as Mr. Integration. That's what the neighborhood used to call him, because of his tenacity Golding, as a 12-year-old, by the time the voting decision was rendered, he was a sophomore at Spingarn Senior High School. And when that decision was rendered, this 15, 16-year-old received many death threats. So many that he was escorted home by the DC Metropolitan Police Department. But it really didn't deter Spotswood because he was an athlete. He was used to getting hit. So he continued on. But the significance of this award is that he will be forever remembered as the individual lead plaintiff. There were approximately 11 other parents and children who fought and won one of the greatest decisions in this country. Not only a decision that integrated the school system, but again, led the way for the destruction of walls against accommodations, housing, and other forms of discrimination. All this derived from the Brown v. Bolding decision. So at this time, we would like to present to his wife, and let me just give you a little information about Mrs. Bolding. We owe Mrs. Mary Pearl Bolding a great gratitude in that she single-handedly helped us obtain the Kingman Park Historic District before the DC. Review Board. Mrs. Bolding wrote a letter, a personal letter to the board, discussing her husband's efforts, and also she watched every minute of the hearing by teleconference, or the concepts they use now, television, streaming. That's what they use. Ask the young people, they know. So, I just want to say that Mrs. Bolding, Mr. Spotswood Bolding's children are here. Would you stand, please? Mr. Bolding's legacy, you see his legacy, they're looking you in the eye. He continues on through them. And Mrs. Bolding, by the way, is a graduate of Spelman College, and she kept me on my toes, I can tell you. And she's also a graduate and attended Howard University. So, without more, we'd like to have a word from you, Ms. Bolding.
Good evening, and I am so delighted to be here and so proud of the Kingman Park Civic Association. I'm proud and I, of course, humbly accept this award. I think Mr. Walton has given me just too much credit. It was a pleasure to help in this endeavor, and I really mean that. But in acknowledging and commemorating Spotswood and the Bolding versus Sharp case, I have to share this moment with the other plaintiffs and their families that were also involved in this endeavor, making sacrifices to help this happen. As alluded to, it wasn't easy. There were death threats and strange calls in the night, and if you even know about cases, all these cases involve stories of what happened to people's lives during the whole process and after the decision came. People having to flee their homes and houses being burned down. And there were, just a lot of horror stories around what happened. This was, of course, in marked the 65th anniversary of the Bowling versus Sharp and the Brown versus Board of Education case. And I remember Spots distinctly telling me about the day that the decision came down. He was actually at Spingarn High School attending classes. And he was called to the principal's office. So he was a little daunted by that, like, what did I do? You know, he was normal, you know, played basketball, always getting around. So he thought it was something that he had done and that he was actually in trouble. But when he went to the office, they informed him that the decision and the cases had been rendered and that he was to leave, he could leave early that day. So, of course, he left early that day, he was quite relieved. But anyway, Spotswood always gave credit for his involvement in the case, and even the other plaintiffs' involvement in the case, to his mother, Sarah. I don't know if you know, his mother was a single mother. His father died when he was young, and it was he and his brother, Wanamaker, who actually were parts of the. They were plaintiffs in the Bowling case. So he would always say that all the glory and the praise really was earned by them, but they were just kids and they were just going on with what, you know, mom and dad said to do. And I think the case signifies what can happen when community comes together for a like-minded goal for the benefit of all, because the Consolidated Parents Group, there's a poster here that sort of gives the story. The poster was done by the DC Lottery Board of all places, but they did a good job, and it shows that the man in the middle is Bishop Gardner, who was a barber in DC, and I think he was the president of the Consolidated Parents Group at the time when the case was barred. But it shows how those people were able, because this wasn't like a one-time thing. Every year, they tried to get into a better school, get their children into a better school, and every year they were denied. And the choice was busing way across town as opposed to letting them go to a school in the area, you know, to let, you know, black kids attend school with white kids, but it just couldn't happen. So this became a perfect test case and case to be part of the case of the lawsuit, because of the fact that it did represent the district, and since the district was under federal rule, it was you know, a task that was taken on by local attorneys and whatever. So at this point, I guess we're still living the struggle.
Yes.
But,
Yes.
you know, so Bowling, of course, the decision was made, it passed, but it has not been a cure-all. So we have to continue in that, you know, endeavor toward equality in education too. But that's a whole nother time. So I thank my beloved family and my dearest friends for, especially those who have traveled to come here to be with us today and to join in the celebration. I salute the other distinguished honorees. I congratulate Mr. Fraser Walton and the Kingman Park Civic Association on your success in preserving tangible DC history for future generations. Thank you for this cherished recognition. I wish you continued blessings and success.
At this time, we'd like to present this award to you, Mrs. Golden, and to your daughters. Thank you. And we also have a small token that goes with it as well.
Okay, thank you so much.
At this time, we would present our next honoree, and our next honoree will be Mr. Alan Green. No, I'm sorry, Joy Brandon Pratt. get that honor because Mrs. Pratt embodies the motherhood of Kingman Park. Mrs. Pratt is a native of Kingman Park and attended DC public schools. She was a graduate of the famed Paul Lawrence Dunbar Senior High School. Joy celebrated her 90th birthday at the house of her parents. 9th birthday, I'm sorry. I say 9. My correction, I'm sorry. In the house that her parents purchased in 1938. As a young teen, Joy helped establish what became known as the Langston Ladies. And the Langston Ladies have continued their lifelong friendship and fellowship as women of distinction. Mrs. Pride's parents nourished her with love, the importance of education, hard work, and protecting the safety and security of Kingman Park. That only comes natural to Joy. She is a retired National Security Agency federal employee, one of the nation's premier intelligence agencies. As a matter of fact, they help the Navy, and they're intelligent. She was dedicated to her lifelong job of protecting not only the community, but this nation. We are proud to salute a lady who represents the best Kingman Park has to offer. She is a lifelong member of the Kingman Park Civic Association, and she serves as a trusted advisor to the association. It is with great honor that we salute Joy Brandon Pratt. And her daughter is here with us, Linda. Please, Linda. And so we would ask Mrs. Pratt to come forward. Linda, that's all right. Don't worry about it. Don't sit right there. We'll wait. You're coming, all right. Sure. All right, you look fine. You give us a few words.
My daughter is going to speak with me.
Yes, I am.
Go right ahead. Okay.
Tell them what a good mother I've been to you. Okay. Thank you.
I want to congratulate Frazier, Veronica, and your committee for doing a fine job. It's a lot of work to put this kind of thing together. As it says in the book, my mom moved to Kingman Park and celebrated her 9th birthday in 1938. My great-grandfather, who was a lawyer, who also worked under the Wilson administration with Ed Brooks' father, who was a lawyer, and their supervisor had an 8th grade education. So, hark back to those days. Well, when my mother, like I said, she grew up there. When she divorced my father, we moved 4 doors away from my grandparents. And it was a very insular, very safe. You saw people of all walks of life, all kinds of jobs, going to work, set an example, regardless of their, salary and station. They were important to the neighborhood. That is what has happened to our neighborhoods. Our people who can set an example have moved out. I don't know that Brown versus Board of Education is very important, but it has not done what's needed to be done. We are still suffering under that same, but we have somebody in the presidency who could not have gotten from Dunbar Senior High School. Okay? And my brother by another father, Alan Green, who was very special to all of us, the He knew everything and shared it with all of us. But it was wonderful to grow up in Kingman Park. It was wonderful. It is still wonderful. My brother's in our house, and the house that we lived in was 22,000. The house next door sold for 500 and something. Okay? Same footprint. But Kingman Park is very special, and when we had to go down, and they organized it about the designation of the historic district. Of course, we had opposition, but most of the people who were in opposition just got to the city, and some of them just 2 generations in the country. But they're going to deny us from 1928. So we have to keep on plugging. We cannot let it go. But as we see all of these people in here, it is very, very important to preserve our heritage. I'm my mom's child. We carry on. I don't know how these children come up and they don't know anything about segregation. They don't know. I know everything my mama did. In fact, I get dragged everything my mother does. Always have. But she is very special. She worked for none such agency, and we would hear them laughing coming down the street from work. At 4 o'clock, they hit Oklahoma Avenue. There were several of them that lived in the neighborhood because none such agency had a lot, not a lot, but they had black folks at that time when I was in high school. But thank you very much for honoring my mother and all of our other important people, but all of the people in this room and all of the people who helped Kingman Park be what it was are important. Thank you very much.
At this time, we'd like to present this award to Joy Pride. Joy L. Pride. So, thank you so much for all you've done for us. At this time, we would like to make the next award is James Russell Wiggins, Senior. And it will be presented by Darlene McHugh.
Good evening. One of Kingman Park's most successful businessmen and philanthropic humanitarian is James Jim R. Wiggins Sr., who inspired and helped educate many of the city's youth. 60 years ago, James began his vocation by opening a barber shop on Diddy Road Northeast, and later expanded the business by establishing one of the most well-known sandal shops in the city. He provided rental housing for residents of the community and often provided it at no cost. Mr. Wiggins' greatest contribution to the city was his work in establishing the nationally known Summer Basketball League, better known as the DC Urban Coalition League. Along with Georgetown basketball coach John Thompson, their creation of the league was unique and significant because it blended and combined amateur, college, and professional basketball players who entertained thousands of inner-city fans and residents throughout the Washington area who would otherwise never get to see professional and outstanding college basketball talent. Many of the National Basketball Association players included Philadelphia 76ers Julius Erving and George the Iceman Gervin. Some of the other players were Sherman Douglas, Adrian Dantley, Moses Malone, and David Robinson, to name a few. The Summer League program became so successful that the professional Washington Bullets basketball team became a full partner in the creation and success of the Summer League. According to the DC Metropolitan Police, when the Summer League played on Friday, Saturday, and Sundays, the entire crime rate of the city decreased, and this was attributed to the thousands of underprivileged youth who were participants and fans, all in attendance over the years at Roosevelt, Spingarn, or Dunbar High Schools. The secret to the success of the league was the financial and humanitarian management of the coalition and the dedication of all those who made the league a local and national success. Mr. Williams attended Armstrong Senior High School and Howard University. I present to some and introduce to others Mr. James R. Williams, Sr.
I don't know what to say. All of us, Miss Joy, but one of the closest friends of mine, Spotswood Boy. I was the only one he was allowed to call him Mr. Integration. Believe me, but I only did it in my office. You know, when I came out of high school, and I had a decision to make whether I wanted to go to Hampton Institute at that time, Morehouse, Howard, on the hill. But I decided to go to Howard. But the friend at Morehouse and Howard was very close friends of mine. So what I did at Howard, I made sure that Dr. Monica Johnson, I saw that he called the boy frequently. And this is one of the best ways to get to him, because I didn't have much money. But I know I was smart, because my advisor went to Hampton Institute, and she was my tutor. And she did a very good job. And I'm very fortunate to be one of the youngest to go to Howard. But when I came out of Howard, believe me, I went to vocational school. I took up different trades, and one of them was ball. And I loved it. I got a chance to the vice principal, first minority at Eastern High School. Dr. Purvis Williams, president of Spingarn. All those were my close friends. But believe me, they all were educators, good educators. But who would believe that I worked very closely with John Thompson? That is a lot that a lot of persons have between you and I. But working with John Thompson, we went to the NCAA convention in San Diego, California. And I met the brothers that started the hamburger chain. Became one of the famous ones in this country. And he told me, Mr. Wiggins, you can take 2 cents in a hamburger and sell it for 15. And you all know the 50-cent hamburger shop there, 2401 Benny Road. But there's a story behind that one. I bought the Lexington drugstore, where y'all remember that. And the gentleman in there was a war veteran. He said, Mr. Let me tell you something. You buy this building, I'm going to burn it down. I don't know where y'all remember. 1954, the building was burnt down. The police chief, the fire chief took me down to the circuit ground. Said, Mr. Wiggins, you got good insurance. Just keep your mouth closed and we see to the place of being there. And that's what I did. I don't know where you go about that now. Today, it's burned down again. 2401 Benny Road. But all these guys with the honorees and whatnot, I know them all. Every one of them. Good people, good people. But I want to introduce my family here, my daughter, and my grandkids and great-grands.
people and one of the driving forces behind the Kingman Park Historic designation. She supplied newspaper articles about her father and herself, written comments about her long professional and academic career, and postcards of her travel with her husband. As an English professor and a strong advocate for recording and preserving our neighborhood history, she was very proud of her growing up experiences in Kingman Park. Dr. Miller attended the Kingman Park Civic Association meetings when she could and gave insight and direction to the Kingman Park Executive Committee. She will be remembered by her zeal and passion for recording the history of Kingman Park. I'd like Dr. Miller to come up and say a few words and receive her award.
Well, I'm glad to see the people who turned out and heard about my wife's accomplishments. And some of you knew her. What you may not have understood is that her family was among the first of the black people who moved in. Her father put down $1 on the lot in 1928. And the family has lived in there since that time. So she would be pleased to know that we've gotten some kind of designation for this neighborhood. She often talked about how there were so many different kinds of people living in the neighborhood at the time that she was growing up. And before people could move in other places. So there were doctors and lawyers and dentists and regular workers all mixed up here together because there wasn't any place else they could go to. And then later on, things did open up, like on 16th Street, place like that, and some of the professionals moved out. But there was a kind of a community here where you could get just about anything you could get right in the neighborhood. Well, I appreciate your thinking of her, and I'm glad you received the award in her name.
Thank you. On behalf of the Kingman Park Civic Association, Dr. Miller, we'd like to present this to you on behalf of your wife and the wonderful service that she gave not only to the city, but to the country. Thank you. Here's an additional token. Allen Green was born in 1929 and passed in 2017. He was a great, great friend of Kingman Park. And I'll just give you a little information about Mr. Green. But Mr. Green was a leader in the Kingman Park Civic Association, and he was one of the commanders during the riots in the District of Columbia. He was a major in the National Guard at the time, and he's given me many long stories about his duty in the city. He was a former federal employee, and he worked with the former mayor, Walter Washington, in preserving his city and protecting the citizens of the city. And he's here today. It's just so many things I cannot express about Allen Green. He was an advisor to the Civic Association. As a matter of fact, he told me how to run it. And when I didn't know quite what I was doing. So, Allen will always be remembered. And at this time, I would ask his son to come forward and give a few words.
Thank you so much. Truly, it is an honor to stand before you guys today in honor of my father and hero, the late, great Allen L. Green, Jr. This picture right here represents the beginning. In 1951, Dad was 22 years old when he enlisted in the Army National Guard. About 20 or so years later was the riots that he patrolled when Dr. King was assassinated. Instead of him arresting people and sending them to jail, he encouraged people and made them go go home instead of peacefully protesting in the streets and causing ruckus. And after this day, it trickled on down to his everyday life. He was a pillar for not only the community, for his church, for his family. Dad was always busy, you know, because I'm the baby boy, and I was late in the game. So Dad was always busy, but Dad was never too busy for his family. He never missed a game. He never missed a PTA meeting. And he was never too busy to instill in us what community meant. So, you know, often Dad would force us to pass out those flyers that some of you guys got years ago between Oklahoma Avenue and 21st Street. If you got those bright flyers in your mailbox or in your cars, I'm your pick boy. But once again, we are so honored to accept the award on my dad's behalf. And we will forever be grateful and will forever be Kingman Park strong. Thank you guys so much.
At this time, we'd like to present this award to Alan Green's son. And of course, this is his additional token. On behalf of the Kingman Park Civic Association and the Kingman Park Historic District, it is a great pleasure that I introduce the late Dennis Lee Bobo, a member of the Kingman Park Civic Association and the nominating board of the Historic District. In the interest of true disclosure, Dennis was a great friend of mine and a confidant. He was also a member of the Spin Gone Alumni Association, and he coordinated the Spin Gone Alumni Association with the Kingman Park Civic Association in our efforts to get the designation for Kingman Park as a historic district. Dennis knew the history of the community. He's just a little older than myself, and I'll be 70 years old this year. But Dennis had a wealth of history. He was an electrical engineer by trade, graduate of Howard University. He was a licensed real estate agent. He was a marketing specialist. And most of all, he was a retired, dedicated fellow employee. I think he spent over 30, 35, 40 years in the United States government. But Dennis always believed in entrepreneurship. He was always talking to me about it. And the fact that we needed to go back to vocational education as well as college education. He was a great advocate of that, and we intend to push for the opening again of vocational schools because we truly need plumbers, we truly need carpenters, and electricians. And Dennis was an engineer, so he knew what he was talking about. We are proud to salute Dennis. Dennis had 3 master's degrees, 1 from Bowie State University and 2 from Johns Hopkins University. But Howard was his mainstay. That is where he met his wife, Mary. I guess that's why that's his mainstay. Dennis, again, accomplished many goals. And at this time, we want to salute Dennis Lee Bobo.
Yes.
When I say that I am humbled, as well as being honored, I'm telling the truth. First of all, I did not expect to do any more than receive this gracious award and not have anything to say. But my husband, those of you who knew him, was a man who liked, when he knew you, to talk, but he didn't waste his words. When he used them, they meant something and a great deal to everyone. Dennis did champion many things. He was very proud of his Kingdom Park connection. He talked a great deal about the history, about the people who he was raised around, the kind of community it represented, the best of the insular Catholic communities we had before immigration, where you would meet and know everybody, had the kind of exposure children don't always get, and the kind of divided world we come into, believe it or not. If you don't have the right zip code sometimes, you may not be exposed to the things that everybody got exposed to in those communities. Dennis was also proud of the fact that any hard-working person, like his father, was able to purchase a home. Their home was on the boundaries of what is historically designated as the Kingdom Park District on Oklahoma Avenue, raise their children, send them to college, and have the basic things that we really felt were those kinds of things that you struggle for. In this day and time, he also understood that we need to create the kind of communities in another way that we've had then. We may not live together in those insular communities, but we can work and look back at communities and do something, as Mr. Wiggins said, Dennis is champion in the community. Do something about making sure that we do bring that to our children. We have too many children who do not understand the links that they have to history, the significance of what our people have gone through, and what we need to do to ensure a future for ourselves. I'm talking a little bit more. Dennis would probably say Mary Ness enough, so I'll stop. I just really want to say I thank you so much for the Kingdom Park community. You've represented a community for my family. I'd like them to stand. And my friends, who take the time to come, because Dennis preached to all of us the importance of community and sticking together and doing whatever you could under any circumstances. He also said, we're good people. He also said they're good people. That was the highest honor that you could give to anybody, being a good person. So thank you very much, Kingdom Park. You really give me a chance to work and be a part of good people. Thank you.
At this time, we'd like to present the Kingman Park Historic District Award to Dennis L. Bobo. And it's being presented late Dennis L. Bobo, and it's being presented to his wonderful wife and friend, Marion Bobo.
Thank you.
I have to say one other thing, and stop me when you give me the mic. As my husband said, there are good people and there are many good people. I would like the people who are members of the board of Kingman Park to please stand. Please. Would you give these people a hand? One of the things that these good people of Kingman Park wanted you to know, that you can only do what you do when you work together and you have good leaders. And in this instance, you have to have good, hard-working, committed leaders. And we want to recognize two of them today. Kingman Park board members, would you please come up? Fraser Walton Jr. Whereas Fraser Walton Jr. has committed to an ongoing career of legally championing the needs and causes of local and national communities, work with numerous organizations to explore ways to enrich and improve the physical and cultural environment of District of Columbia residents, provided pro bono legal assistance to help residents achieve their just rights, consistently represented concerns and positions of residents to local government representative boards and hearings, been appointed to numerous boards to officially represent and advocate the needs and wants of DC residents, served as a major officer of the Kingman Park Civic Association for at least 10 years of its 80-plus year history. Finally, but most importantly, led the process of documenting, applying, petitioning, and successfully achieving the designation of Kingman Park, Washington, D.C. as a National Historic District, the first such recognition for an African American community in Washington, D.C. Yep. We, the Kingman Park Civic Association, recognize him as a civic champion on this date, May 18, 2019.
It says KPCA Civic Champion Award presented to Fraser Walton Jr. for outstanding leadership and the successful application to designate Kingman Park, Washington, D.C. a National Historic District. Kingman Park Civic Association, May 18th, 2019.
Here,
I really don't know what to say. I'm shocked. You know, I'm surprised. I'd like to say that I didn't do a thing. The people standing here who did everything. Charlie Murray, Cookie Wells, Karen Caldwell, Alan Jackson, Nathan Dickens, Joan Johnson, Veronica Ray, Karen McEwen, Marion Bobo, and Lieutenant Colonel Joe Evans. Yeah. I'd have to get Darlene. I said, Darlene, for you. And if we could, I'm holding you up, but if we could, today is Darlene's birthday. We were brought good luck, and we like to sing. And here comes Roderick. Roderick, our musician, is coming. We'd like to give a hand to Roderick, too. Roderick is a very accomplished musician, a pianist and organist. He's a graduate of Peabody Institute in Baltimore. And as you know, Peabody and Juilliard in New York often fight as to who's the #1 music school in this country. Right. So, at this time, we're ready, Roger.
Happy birthday. So you can't let me get near a microphone. I'm not finished. There's one other person. The Kingman Park Civic Association citation for Veronica Ray. Whereas Veronica Radlin has committed to an ongoing career of educating and advocating to meet the needs of people internationally, nationally, and locally. Work with numerous organizations to explore ways to enrich and improve the physical and cultural environment of the District of Columbia residents, consistently represented the concerns and the positions of residents to local government representatives, boards, and hearings, been a past elected agency representative to serve her Kingman Park community, served as a major officer of the Kingman Park Civic Association for at least 10 years of its 80-plus year history, Finally, but most importantly, led the process of documenting, applying, petitioning, and successfully achieving the designation of Kingman Park, Washington, D.C., as a National Historic District, the first such recognition for an African American community in Washington, D.C. We, the Kingman Park Civic Association, recognize her as a civic champion on this date.
Here, here.
You know, it's really hard to ambush Veronica Frazier. I've been conspirator in this process, but we've got it. Kingman Park Community Association Civic Champion Award is presented to Veronica Ragland for outstanding leadership and the successful application to designate Kingman Park, Washington, District of Columbia, a National Historic District. Kingman Park Civic Association, dated this 18th day of May, 2019.
That's what we talk about. Heroes. Heroes. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Now it's time to conclude the ceremonies, but before we do so, we're going to wish Darlene a happy birthday.
Everybody knows the Stevie Wonder song, Happy Birthday. You can hear that. So I want you to give her a strong, you want to know what's going to happen? I want you to give her a strong, rousing chorus of Happy Birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Come on, let's go. I know you know the song. Birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday, darling.
I'd also like to acknowledge Linda Bogo. Linda, could you stand, please? Linda, that's been a great help to us to put this program on. And it's her birthday as well. That should go for Linda as well. At this time, we conclude the Kingman Park Historic District Awards. We'd like to acknowledge Ahmed, as our photo photographer there, or photographer. Videographer. You see, I don't know much about technology. But we're going to acknowledge him, as well as, again, Robert. And we'd like to ask all Kingman Park residents, we have quite a few here, to please stand, if you would. All Kingman Park residents. Thank you very much. Kingman Park is now becoming a very diverse community. We're getting people from every walk of life, and we welcome them. So at this time, we conclude our ceremony, and thank you so much for coming in. We look forward to seeing you in the future. Thank you.